Well, we have heard from the White House in the last hour. It says that the Vice President has been briefed and is closely following the development. The White House National Security spokesperson has told our US partner CBS, quote, "We understand that Israel is conducting targeted strikes against military targets in Iran as an exercise of self-defense and in response to Iran's ballistic missile attack against Israel on October 1st. We would refer you to the Israeli government for more information on their operation." Well, I'm joined now by Ambassador Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley, former US Ambassador to Malta. She is currently a non-resident senior fellow at the Scowcroft Middle East Security Initiative with the Atlantic Council's Middle East programme. Always good to have you with us, Ambassador. And you and I have spoken in recent weeks even what this attack could look like. Of course, now it appears that it is underway. Is this what you had anticipated?
Well, we still have to see how extensive it is, and there are a number of questions that we'll be looking at as the information comes out. You know, in addition to exactly where they hit, were there any civilian casualties, there's questions about what the message is to the Iranians from Israel. Was it a strike that was intended to ensure that there wasn't an escalation, so military targets, a low level of casualties? Or is it enough targets in different places to send the message to the Iranians that we have an overwhelming reach into your country? We know where leaders are and we can hit them at will. So that message is going to be very important to discover as we see what's been hit. Other questions that are out there are the diplomacy that has gone on in the last few weeks. We know that Iran, their foreign minister, has visited several of the Gulf countries in preparation and anticipation of this attack. And of course, our Secretary of State, the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has been in the region recently, and diplomacy has been at work, hopefully getting other countries in the region to have a calm response to this, to communicate to Iran, look for a proportionate response and don't take it further. So we'll see whether that diplomacy has been effective, what Iran was trying to communicate to countries in the region, as well as what U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was communicating to countries in the region.
Because as you point out, there is the split screen to all of this. There is Antony Blinken being in the region saying that there is an urgent need, he said today, for a diplomatic solution to this. And then also learning that the White House was apprised of this attack, although it had no involvement. What do you make of that split screen?
Well, I think there is a message from the United States to the parties in the region. Number one, to Israel of, we are supporting you still, absolutely. You have the right for self-defense and to respond to an attack on your nation, but it is time to turn to diplomacy. And so this, we may see that this was the last hurrah from Israel before a serious concentration on how to use diplomacy to get those hostages out of the Gaza Strip and to get relief into the Gaza Strip, and the discussions about what is long-term, what is the strategic plan for the Gaza Strip. This is something that the U.S. has been pressing Israel on for over a year and not yet having a sense that that strategic plan is clear and has a way forward. So those things are very definitely out there. I will say, of course, that we can't forget that there are 4 or 5 fronts that are going on at the same time in addition to Iran. Lebanon, Gaza, we heard strikes in Syria, strikes in Iran. Israel has a great burden on it right now with all of these fronts and really needs to turn to diplomacy.
Well, on that point, I do just want to ask you about the situation there in Gaza, when we know that there have been comments from the United Nations today saying that in Gaza, the north is in what has been described as the darkest hour right now. Of course, all international attention right now has turned to the situation in Iran. What does that mean for the situation in Gaza?
Well, it does mean that there is pressure on the United States to give a much shorter leash a much tighter time frame for the demands from the United States to Israel to abide by United States law. And that means not using food and humanitarian assistance as a weapon of war. That pressure will ramp up. People are paying attention to that. That's the pressure. That's the pressure right now.
Ambassador Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley, always good to talk to you. Thank you.